Welcome, everyone. We are back at Meta One Design headquarters on Decentraland, and we're here for another episode of Beyond the NFT. My name is Sinful, and I am your host for tonight's show. Special thanks to everyone on Decentraland. I see the place is starting to fill up. It's been filling up. I see Billy BR over there in the corner. Some people that I haven't shout out. Vita TV in the building. We have our friend Meta DJ in the house, looking good. Brittany over there in the back, rocking her muse. And of course we got on the because I feel like there's a Derek somewhere around here, but he could be floating. Yeah, he could be floating somewhere. That's the crazy thing about Derek. You never know. Crypto Minotaur over here. Check him out. We and Toxic Waifu up there. So good to see everyone here. Thank you all for coming. And of course to everyone that's listening on YouTube, Twitch, Kick, or X, welcome to Beyond the NFT. If you would like to join us on Decentraland and would like a little help, pop into our Twitch stream. It is SinfulMeatSticks with an S at the end. Yeah, everyone can help you get in here. I know I had invited a potential future guest to come check us out tonight, so he might be popping in, so keep an eye out for him. His name is David. And so yeah, before we begin, big shout outs to Meta One Design headquarters for allowing us to allowing us to host this event at such an amazing build. And make sure to, jump around, run around, click on stuff, mess around with all the features that Meta One has to offer. And also, if you see Mr. J Stickle, tell him he's doing a great job. And I also want to give special thanks to our sponsor, Bucktown MMA. Bucktown is a mixed martial arts program focused on empowering the youth all around the world through hard work, discipline, and mentorship. Personally, as an adult, I look back to when I wrestled back in high school and middle school, and I look back at the relationships that I had with my coaches. I can truly say that they helped shape the person I am today. So if you would like to support, head on over to bucktown.org/shops and pick up some merch. All proceedings go back to the program. Thank you, everyone. And now, the moment you have all been waiting for. It is a pleasure to introduce virtual DJ and founder of Zuberant. Let's give a warm Decentraland welcome to our friend Meta DJ. Welcome, welcome.
Hey, what's up, DCL fam? We're here. We are here. I remember the first time I experienced Beyond the NFT at least a year plus back. And I really loved the style and presentation and thought it was a great way to showcase all of the incredible builders and explorers of this metaverse. And I looked at it and I was like, I want to be there one day. And now here we are. Here we are making it happen.
Times
so I'm thrilled to be here.
Times two.
This is true.
And welcome Oddjob. I just saw that Oddjob popped in. I'm going to give him the spam message that I've been giving to all our friends, just in case he can't see the screen currently. So so just letting everyone know. And if you're listening and you are on Decentraland and wondering why the screen isn't working, just click on the banner that says Beyond the NFT right in front of me, and you'll be able to see us on screen. Look at us right there. We're all big and stuff. So here, before we kick off with the first question, I'm going to share my screen here, just so like whenever I scroll through stuff, like you can get like a visual like that is not delayed. So there we go. I probably messed something up here. Yes, I did, but I shall fix it. All right, so to kick it off, Meta DJ, you know the drill. Every time I have a guest on this show, I always pass the mic back to to our guest so that they can give themselves that proper introduction to the Decentraland community. And if I'm not mistaken, there since the last time you've been on the show, there have been new community members to come into the space. So I'm sure that they're all happy to get to know who you are.
Yeah, so hello everyone, or hello again. Uh, I go by Z, by the way, also known as Meta DJ. That may be new to almost everyone in this room. And I say in this room as I'm staring through the meta portal of Twitch into the metaverse. Yes, this is reality right now. But I go by Z, also known as Meta DJ, the founder of Zuberant. I've been a DJ for, it's getting close to 8 years. I started as a private event DJ, self-taught. I actually was given the opportunity to DJ my best friend's wedding shortly after college. So I was the party guy in college. I was the playlist guy. And when I mean a party guy, I mean when someone said, hey, there was a party, I was like, wait, so I get to craft a unique playlist to tell a story? Amazing. Nothing else mattered to me. And I did that, and I actually discovered artificial intelligence that early. I'll share more later. And then actually learned how to DJ, used my friend's wedding as an opportunity to teach myself. And it was the day they got engaged. I texted them congratulations, and they said, thank you so much. We'd love for you to be our wedding DJ. And I was like, okay, I think I need to make this legit. So I invested in starting a business. I did 50 plus private events. I had always been a technologist with a deep technical background. Over time, discovered blockchain, crypto, NFTs, and what I view as the end game to all of that, the metaverse. Developed the persona and avatar Meta DJ, which I think most of you know. That's the chapter that I think many of you then started to get to know me. Really was trying to find myself through it, became more immersed with the space, but especially artificial intelligence. And then through that, founded Zuberant, which Zuberant is pioneering the Web3 metaverse. And I call it Web3 metaverse because the metaverse, and if you've read books about the metaverse, which there are a few, by the way, there's actually a book called The Metaverse, I believe it's called The Metaverse, published over 20 years ago. This concept has existed for decades. What's changing is Web3. Blockchain, extended reality, artificial intelligence, and now we're able to have a dynamic world. So Zuberant is pioneering the Web3 metaverse driven by AI. I'm excited to share my journey with AI, but that's so much what Zuberant is about. But that's who I am. I'm a metaverse, and to be clear, DJ. Fun fact for those of you that you may have not heard from me about this is that a DJ to me is a digital jockey. Master of ones and zeros. Actually, that's in the song I made with AI, but no joke. I've coined the name digital jockey, metaverse digital jockey, the evolution of the disc jockey. And I'm happy to be here.
I'm happy you are here. Just to clarify, you said that the new name will be Z. Will it be just like a Z, or is it, or like how would this be spelled, or how do you envision like it being put onto paper?
Yeah, it's if you look at the Zuberant logo, it's literally the Z.
The
So
capital Z.
it's one letter.
Nice, nice.
That's it.
A little
And
bit of brand in there.
I thought
Nice.
it was a little brand play. There was a long process in regards to what my name would be. And reason being is, as much as I love going by Meta DJ, I really viewed that as a persona, an avatar, like how I represent myself in the metaverse. And I don't think it's fair to myself, the individual, to entirely wrap my identity around that. So I always love to say, and this, I would even say this before I went by the name Z and just used my IRL name, I would say my Batman life is Meta DJ. So I'm who I typically am during the day, Meta DJ at night. As some of you already know through the parties we've had.
Yes, yes, the long parties, like hours after. Well, you used to have the Friday night events right after MetaZoo, or there was some other event as well, and and then yeah, you used to take over the late night crowd and just party the night away. Ooh, you have some energy, my friend.
Yeah, well, I gotta say, I was pretty crafty with that. What I'd actually do is so I originally called it a Friday party. And I was like, oh, this is fun, just something clever. And huge shout out to Crypto Minotaur. He embraced me through an NFT project that we were both community members of, and was like, hey, you wanna start throwing events in the metaverse? Want to make it actually happen? And I was like, let's go. And we did that. And it was evolving for months upon months. And then eventually became DCL Fridays by Metallusions. But the funny part about it is I'd DJ for like an hour and a half to 2 hours. And then I'd literally put my AI autopilot on and go to bed, but let the vibes go for like all night. I'd wake up to messages from the community being like, I spy Meta DJ AFK. The party goes on. Like just reading the chat from the morning because I'd stay logged into Decentraland, like 14-hour marathon parties that obviously I went to bed at some point. It was
Wake up
really
like,
fun.
whoa.
I cherish those moments.
Yeah, just wake up the next morning like, whoa, the party, there's still people here.
I know.
Japanese friends on Decentraland like popping in like, hey, what's going on here? There's music? Why are there so many people
Yes.
still here?
Yes.
The stragglers
And
from
people would
overnight.
know to go there.
Hmm.
Even ones that weren't able to make it to the event, I know NFT Bubblegum would pop in like 3 a.m. Eastern for me. I'd be like, I spy, not a DJ. I'm like, I love this community. I love the culture. Like, this is so cool what we're fostering. So yeah, that was really fun. That
Yeah,
was a really
that
fun time.
that's one of the like that's one of those things that I appreciate, like long events, long I know they're not easy. This last weekend just finished hosting a 6 hour event, but in all honesty, like if there aren't any events like back to back to back to back, it's very, very special to at least have something going for anyone that may jump in at whatever hour it may be. I'm sure you've gotten this comment as well as I have, that like, hey, oh, I couldn't make it the first 3 hours, but I definitely made it the last 3 hours. you know so
Yes.
it's important.
Yeah.
It's
Like
important that,
festivals.
yes, it's important to keep the events going for the international community.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I very much uh, view the Meta DJ experience as more like attending a festival rather than like a nightclub experience. Themed, rich, passionate. Not saying you can't get this in a nightclub, but I think festivals bring it to a whole nother level. The exuberance, as one may say, and Decentraland and the metaverse really creates that type of energy. And with technology, you can foster it. Even if you can't always be there as a host. You can curate some really epic events that's rich and unique and personalized and be able to remember that you are a human that needs to live their life and maybe can't be performing for 10 hours straight, but you can deliver it in a package that feels very live and present and is accessible to many throughout the world. Yeah, I think all this is fantastic. And we're just getting started.
We're just getting started. And so, okay, we mentioned the name change. You will be rebranding to Z.
Yes.
Have you looked at the next steps to take, like, because for example, you have your Meta DJ X, and you've kind of like build the brand around like these like the current social medias you have. Do you have like kind of like a strategy in mind to kind of moving the crowd over from Meta DJ to Z? Like, will you be changing X handles and stuff like that, or kind of just changing
Oh,
names?
long live Meta DJ forever. Nothing is changing, and Meta DJ is going stronger than ever. It's very much, I think this is a good opportunity to share a little more context on Zuberant in regards to. So I've been operating as Meta DJ for a few years. as my digital persona, the way that I perform and curate these events as a digital jockey. And I wanted to really expand what Meta DJ represented. Because Meta DJ, not only does he represent pioneering the Web3 metaverse, but he represents being a curator of artificial intelligence, a showcase of what's possible. Sometimes I even say Meta DJ is an AI powered avatar, where he is a AI avatar. The Meta DJ handle stays, the account stays. While I'm more focused right now on building Zuberant, just as we're in the early stages, Meta DJ is a champion of the Zuberant lore. What? Lore? Yes, there is so much to share. He is very much a part of the experience. At Zuberant, we're teaching people how to build a foundation with AI to navigate the metaverse. And then Meta DJ is the showcase of what is possible. So that's not changing. It's just if we met in person, I'd say, hey, I'm Z. If I was talking at a public function, like I spoke at NFT M1D this year, I introduced myself as Z, but I say also known as Meta DJ. So we're sticking around. No way I'm letting go of Meta DJ. No way. It's a big part of what I do.
It's part of the lore. It's the proof of concept. Meta DJ is the proof of concept.
Yes, exactly.
And I want to give some shout outs. I'm looking over at the Twitch chat. I see that Argent has resubscribed for the 3rd month. Thank you so much, Argent. Very good to see you. I see Make an NFT in the Twitch chat as well. And let's see, making sure I have not missed anyone at all. No, we all good to go. We all good. Thank you so much for being here, everyone. And yeah, if anyone has any questions for a Meta DJ, just head over to the Twitch chat and drop your question in there. I'll make sure to ask.
And just to clarify, for all purposes, I'm not a DJ here. Like, don't worry, and you can flip it. It doesn't matter. Point being is like, I'm still not a DJ telling you guys. So I'm a DJ here. It's all good.
It will transition. It will transition. You know, more. And then pretty soon you'll have your OG friends, which will be like, man, I knew Z back when he was Meta DJ.
I know. I love it.
So I do definitely want to like dig in deeper into Zuberant, you know, show visuals and everything like that. But before jumping into that, would kind of like to kind of just talk about your early days in Web3. Kind of like, how did you find the Web3 space, and do you have any memories that you can share of a time when, like, you know, you were at an event, something happened, whatever it may be, and you kind of realized that there is some substance here in Web3 that, you know, a creator can come in and contribute to the overall space?
Yeah, absolutely. I love this story. It's the foundation to why Zuberant ever came to be. So I had mentioned earlier, I'd been a private event DJ for a few years and successfully was able to build what was a side hustle for me as a solopreneur to be a private event DJ, doing weddings for people, like to some the most important day of their life, quote unquote. And I was always a technologist. What's interesting is if you went into Meta DJ's bedroom when he was just a teenager, you would have saw all the signs to suggest he would be the Meta DJ. Speakers, headsets, video games, excessive amounts of speakers and headsets, can I emphasize. But what's even more fun is that I actually only listened to about 200 songs, and I was very much stuck in the 80s. I love Billy Joel and Elton John, and Ain't Nothing Gonna Break My Stride is one of my favorite songs of all time. So technologist stuck in the retro 8-bit disco past, but looking towards the future as a DJ. And I had been traditionally an investor in the markets and was aware of crypto, but I didn't actually get involved till January of 2021. It was actually my New Year's resolution because I had just seen on CNBC, I believe, they were covering that Bitcoin hit an all-time high. And through my studies of traditional markets, they say when an asset class macro hits an all-time high, like there's a macro pattern to suggest that it's going to potentially break the all-time high. And because of that, I was like, ooh, Bitcoin, everyone's buzzing about it. There was all this mania. I'm going to research it. And then I learned about the technical side, and I learned about blockchain. And I immediately, from an engineer, because I do have a technical background, I went to school for industrial engineering. I was like, okay, this technology is absolutely fascinating. It's going to change the world. I know it. Whether it's blockchain itself, digital ledgers, or something new that's inspired by it, something's going to happen. And it doesn't matter to me if Bitcoin makes it or not. But ooh, let me get involved with crypto. So I did, and actually I legitimized it by boot camp. I learned about Python and machine learning and Solidity, how to code. That's right, MetaDJ. Learned how to code. But really, the idea behind it was I wanted to understand the principles behind the technology. And simultaneously, I was getting involved with the space. First, it was Bitcoin, then it was quickly Ethereum, then it was altcoins, a path that probably many of us, or in some cases, a trap that many of us fell for. What I mean by that is the ignorance of just aping into anything because pump, pump, pump. But what was interesting for me was I was so driven and motivated to then become an active DJ in the space. Fun fact, I originally went by crypto DJ, and I was going to teach people cryptocurrency from a DJ because crypto was such a scary concept to so many, so complex. I was like, I'll make it approachable. I'll be like the DJ on TikTok that has like Ethereum pop up, and I'll teach it, and I'll do some cool DJ routines and pair it with music. And that was originally the idea. But then I learned about NFTs, and I was like, oh, wait. And not only did I learn about NFTs as an asset class, but I learned how to program it with Solidity. I actually made a prototype of what we called jingle stamps. They were like Christmas card NFTs that you send to family and friends. I was all about the practicality of like making it actually something people may care about. It was like emotions and sentiment and the idea that you know who it came from. It was so cool. But NFTs, the assets, I was like, okay, Bored Apes. I literally was looking at Bored Apes when it was at 0.1 ETH floor, 0.1 ETH floor. And I was like, nope, no way, nope, I'm not doing this. I don't believe in this. All that. Obviously, I missed out on potentially a life-changing opportunity, but I don't regret it. And the reason being is, listen, I went through the highs and I went through the lows. But the one thing that still stands, even through the bull and bear cycle, is MetaDJ. And all through that, Crypto DJ evolved to MetaDJ because after learning about NFTs, I discovered the concept of the metaverse and how crypto will be the digital currency and NFTs will be the assets in this space. And the metaverse will be the space we interact and actually exchange value and experience and do something meaningful together. Mm-hmm. You know? Well, where to actually use this? Look at Decentraland, the epitome of an example of what a decentralized system and economy and community could do in such a borderless way. I mean, everyone that's with us right now is all over the world. I know it because we've talked about it. We've actually connected. So through this whole journey, crypto DJ to meta DJ, I learned very much the technical foundations while simultaneously going through the mania of the bull run. But I'm still here as meta DJ and now the founder of Zuberant. And I'm really thrilled with everything I've learned and how much I've grown through that experience.
Any shout outs you want to give to like any homies like from early in the Decentraland days, like anyone that comes to mind?
Yes, thanks for prying me. I am a storyteller and can get immersed in my own stories. That was part of your question. So how I actually got into Decentraland was I was working with a project that was called Meta Club Society. And that's how I connected with Crypto Minotaur, by the way. So shout out to Crypto Minotaur again for being a big part of it. But I actually want to give a shout out to the Beaver Squad. They were truly my guide into the metaverse as we know it right now, Decentraland. I actually reached out to them because I was promoting my first ever metaverse experience in Decentraland with Meta Club Society. And we worked with Polygonal Minds, which I know many of you I've heard of, right? The
Shout out
Mythos,
Vipe.
or I always say the name. Yeah, shout out Mike. There you go. And I actually worked with their team, and I told them exactly my vision for the event, and then they built a parcel. And this is me like having no experience in Decentraland. The only experience I had is I was very lonely. By the way, guys, I would go on jogs in the metaverse. That's right, jogs in the metaverse. I would screen share it with the Meta Club community in Discord while hosting private DJ parties in a Discord server. And I would just go on jogs. I didn't know the rich, beautiful community that's here. And then when I was promoting this event in collaboration with Polygonal, I connected with Alpha Angels and Gold Guy, and of course Mariana. And they actually came to the event after I had told them I'm doing this. I was reaching out to anyone that I could find that was an influencer. I said hashtag Decentraland on their, at the time, Twitter, now X profiles. And they went to the event, and I just remember Mariana being like, "This music rocks!" And there was a song I, in particular, played. If you're still listening, Mariana, Anita was the song I played, and she went crazy. And after that, they invited me on their Twitter Spaces. And next thing you know, I got an invite to be their resident DJ, and the rest is history. We did events together. And I started doing my own thing with Crypto Minotaur, and now here we are. So those were some of the OGs that really helped me get to where I am right now, at least within the Decentraland space.
I'm so happy you mentioned Beavers because I have my personal love for the squad as well. Alpha Angels, Mariana, and Gold Guy for sure
Yes.
are some real ones out there.
For sure, there's no doubt. Truly, my guides into this vast metaverse. I needed that support. I really did. Like I said, I was going on jogs by myself in the metaverse. Now, granted, I found some of the coolest parcels. Have any of you just hit W if you're hopefully on a keyboard with WASD? Whatever it is you're using to move forward with your avatar, just go and find some of these parcels that have just been sitting there probably for a year, if not longer. So fun. So it was fun, but it was way more enjoyable to share that. And the Beaver Squad, I couldn't have asked for a better entry. I couldn't ask for a better community to be welcomed by. We had a lot of fun. We had some really cool events.
Yep. I'm still like waiting for the day that they can make their comeback into the Web3 space.
Yes.
We see Mariana out here. We see Mariana.
Oh yes, we do.
And our other friends are around. They're just watching, waiting, watching. Let's see. I think I have two questions for you from One Exist. I don't know if you wanted me to ask this, but I'm gonna ask them both. But I'm gonna ask them both. is Zuberant a playoff of Exuberant?
Yes! Ding 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 ding. Oh, he wins the first prize that I'll have to make up. Yes, I love. Let me just quickly share the background on that. So when I was looking for a name for my business, I was very much thinking about my personality. And actually, when I was in 8th grade, we did this exercise where you had to work with a peer, and they had to describe you in one word. And I was with a girl, and she said, "You are exuberant." And I was like, "What does that mean?"
Okay.
Turns out the word is completely spot on. No. It was strictly for academic purposes. Let's be clear. However, the introduction of that word was fascinating. I never heard of it when I looked it up. It's like to be lively, to be filled with energy, to express passion. I was like, absolutely represents who I am. And actually, if for those of you may know Eris Creates or Aristea, we connected in the metaverse, by the way. Yes, and we now work together. She's on the Zuberant team, by the way. More on that. But she was helping me actually figure out the business name. She's like, "What about Zuberant? Like exuberant, just like you were talking about." I was like, oh. And the rest was history. So yes, exuberant.
How do you do it, One Exist? You guessed it spot on. And then his second question, which is a fun one. If a cat is thrown out of a car window, does it make it kitty litter?
Oh my gosh. It depends what type of cats. We live in this metaversal world, you know?
Yeah, you need to
You never know.
specify.
What if you threw it and just started flying? What if it like mewed out the window and it's like a neon cat and just, evolved, became a, you never know.
Yeah,
There you go. There's a little capture of my imagination. But yes, potentially one existence. It is possible depending on the world that you operate
and special shout outs. I just saw our friend Father Finn jump in to Decentraland, and I see little Bidman. And by the way, Meta DJ, I found him. See, I told you he'd be floating somewhere. I found the Derek.
in. Yep.
See, he's
It's funny you say that because when we did the DCL Fridays in the Metal Illusions disco ball, that was like our semi-circular disco ball, super tight, super intimate. It was fun. We pack it up. It really felt like that felt like a nightclub experience. Not gonna lie. The reason why I say that is I would when the Decentraland camera feature came out, I would start capturing some content during the show to save the memories. And I'd always see Derek with some of the most outrageous emotes hidden all the way at the top of the disco ball. So yes, he is. Oh, you always gotta look up for Derek. Look up
you
for
you
Derek.
have to look up for Derek. Yeah, don't look out, look up. Big shout out
Yes,
to Derek.
exactly.
Okay, so yeah, moving into Zuberant. Here's your website. Amazing website, I have to say. Like I like the visuals you have in the background. And yeah,
Thank you.
I know you gave like a very brief introduction to Zuberant. But could you give us could you tell us about Zuberant and give us the long version?
Yes, yes, yes. The moment when you prompt the AI to say, expand on this. Absolutely. So I had mentioned how AI was a part of my journey, a big part of my journey. And it started when I was first learning to DJ. I had no clue what I was doing. And I discovered this software called DJ Pro, developed by a company named Algorithm,
Hmm.
originally available on iOS and Mac. They've won awards, by the way, for many years of being one of the top designs. Apple's visit them, but it was very unknown amongst the TJ community.
I
And what
see.
I learned, they have this tool that's called neural mixing, and it's truly creating these epic mixes, blending music and sound together in ways that you just couldn't do with two hands, even with the most expensive advanced DJ board. And I was fascinated by it because I was telling stories at parties, hand picking the songs, which is the most important part of DJing, by the way. It's all a shout out to a kid called Make. I've given him some insight and perspective on my experience of DJing. I told him, don't worry about the technical stuff. The most important thing is telling the story with the music. When I was doing online courses with DJing, they said the most important thing is to know what's the next song you're going to play. And so I used AI to help assist me through that process. And then over time, following the Meta DJ stories, I shared it. Uh, I actually taken a break from using the AI because there was some controversy amongst the DJ community, at least I interacted with, was like, is he actually a DJ? He's using AI. Is that actually a thing?
Hmm.
And at the time, I couldn't hold my own ground. But when I shared with someone about what I was doing, they're like, where did that go? That sounds like the most unique thing I've ever heard. Do it. Go back. DJ with AI. I'm like, okay, yeah, let's try it. Let's go for it. And next thing you know, in 2022 of December, ChatGPT was announced. I had already been a little bit exposed to large language models and generative AI, but I was hearing at that time, I was fully into Meta DJ. I was really active on X Spaces, and people were talking about ChatGPT, and they were like, we can write smart contracts with AI. And it actually took me 3 weeks, surprisingly. Meta DJ typically jumps on cutting bleeding edge stuff. It took me 3 weeks. It isn't long for many, but for me, finally I jumped into it right as the new year. Look, New Year's, it's interesting. I never was a big New Year's resolution person, but some of the biggest discoveries and paradigm shifts for me happened during the holidays. Maybe it's because life is a little slower and you have time to explore, but it was right around New Year's that I interacted with ChatGPT, and I started telling it about who I was. And I was like, hey, ChatGPT, I'm Meta DJ. I'm Metaverse digital jockey. Fine. Maybe I'm not a disc jockey. That doesn't matter. I'm a digital jockey. curating experiences through audio and visuals, telling stories, connecting a borderless audience, passionate and in love with spreading this with the world. How can you help me make this truly a reality? It was a baby vision. I wanted to truly evolve and grow. I started having these conversations with ChatGPT, and ChatGPT started getting better. It went from GPT-3 to GPT-4, now GPT-4 Omni, and then companies like Anthropic Claude and Google Gemini and Microsoft, who owns has 49% stake of OpenAI, who's the developer of ChatGPT, they have their Copilot. And over time, I was using it not only for MetaDJ and curating experiences and helping plan for those Friday part days, then DCL Fridays, and think of new mix ideas. But I was starting to do multimodal generations. We were generating text and images. And next thing you know, I was starting to design the MetaDJ avatar. If you look at the MetaDJ PFP, that was designed with Midjourney. That's version 3 of a multi-step process. And I started more and more getting immersed in it and learning how the more I spoke to it, the more I was learning about it. And I was like, well, this is fascinating because one of the biggest issues with generative AI right now is people are like, it's generic. And even me, I spent so much time with AI, I can spot in many cases something that was generated by AI. Don't hold me to it, but I'm getting pretty good at it just because I spend so much time working with it. Yeah, guys, literally, like, I know you know me mostly as like a DJ, but I'm very much an engineer. I'm very technical, methodical, thorough, and I apply it to how I DJ. So through this experience, I started learning, okay, if I start speaking to it a certain way, and then I was like, hey, I'm going to study prompt engineering, which is something I highly recommend you guys look into. It's the way at which you interact with AI to get outputs. And I was learning the technical side of how AI processes information and how if you give it instructions and you give it highly polished content and documents, you can really start to paint a picture of who you are and be able to exponentially grow your brand with AI. So what happened is, while I had this idea and vision of I want to build this brand, I want to show people how to use AI to make their own version of MetaDJ. Not a DJ, but whatever your vision. I was developing this, literally my business model with AI. I was going through this process. Next thing I know, I developed a 300-page document. Started with an idea, evolved into a 300-page document, assisted by AI. And I was able to then refine that and optimize it to training what we call custom GPTs. So for those of you that have interacted with ChatGPT, you can actually use their GPT builder to build like a customized version. And I was able to develop a framework, which I call brand corpus framework. It's a technical term for essentially context and instructions to teach it who I am. And now it emulates MetaDJ. So a lot of the content that you're seeing on X is a product of that tool. It speaks like me, it thinks like me, it grows like me. But I'm very much on the steering wheel. And even this website that you complimented, which I certainly appreciate, was very much assisted by my tool. But those are my words. That is my voice. And to me, that was the birth of Zuberant. So Zuberant really is two focus areas.
It's your baby.
It is my baby. It's more importantly, it is really there's two areas that we're developing. One is Zuberant AI, which is going to teach individuals the foundation of AI, understanding the principles and ways that you can implement it to personalize your experience. And then there's the other side, which is Zuberant Media, which is the showcase of that. It's really interesting. I found a way to create a business model where I can develop platforms. Like right now we're developing what's called the Zuberant AI Hub, which is a Notion workspace that has guides on how to prompt and how to build your own brand corpus. And then I could say, hey, if this is overwhelming to you and you're not sure if you want to go on this journey, check out a MetaDJ experience. Check out Zuberant Live. Zuberant Live, 24/7 AI-powered entertainment platform. Using that neural mixing that I told you about, using generative AI text to help promote it and write the text, using image generation to create the visuals and video generation to animate it. This is the true curation of the metaverse. And if you tie in this foundation of AI with Web3 in my background, with blockchain and the metaverse, I truly believe using image generation to create the is how we pursue the dynamic Web3 metaverse. This is AI. It's the only way that we can interact and grow at such a dynamic and exponential scale and empower the individual creator to make what started as a baby idea something much more massive. Mm-hmm. So Zuberant, in a summary, is an innovation studio focused on educating and entertaining, interacting.
Okay. That I really enjoyed listening to kind of how you put all these AI technologies kind of like developed your own had one learn from you. That is a very interesting topic. And I'm sorry to do this, but I'm going to restart the streams. It looks like our DCL screen went down. I think it just needs a OBS restart real quick, so I'll do that.
No worries. Yeah, I'm hearing a double audio anyway, so that's fine.